Hey, what's up everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I figured say hello to you guys and check in. Kind of want to react to just what I understood about Danny Ainge's comments. I just heard what was quoted from him in a presser today, and he was essentially speaking about why he decided to break up the Utah Jazz, and he was essentially saying that he saw a group of guys that liked one another but didn't believe in one another, didn't believe in what they were doing. And that's one of those situations where it's like, the reason why this is a point that I think I want to bring up is because there are different ways, particularly in sports, to look at certain situations without blending in other aspects. Like, for example, I can say that I didn't like the scheme that the Los Angeles Lakers were running last year with Frank Vogel. But I can also say that I think he was a good spokesperson for the team, and when he spoke for the team, I thought he did a fantastic job in representing us well, right? There's different ways of looking at it. Now, when assessing him as a coach, you'll just say he's a bad coach, and you won't look at the things that he may have done well or didn't do well or what have you, and kind of break those down for what they are, or try to assess them properly for what they are. Certain weaknesses, certain strengths, and to just be that. I think this type of scenario, looking at how Danny Ainge described it, kind of puts into perspective that similar way of kind of compartmentalizing certain things. Those guys could very easily like one another, get along with one another, have good chemistry. But the system that they were running may not have been something they believed in. They may not have believed each and every one of the team as a collective unit could win the championship despite being good enough to make the playoffs. That doesn't mean guys don't see opportunities to believe in one another in other situations. For example, take two random players, Clarkson and Bogdanovich. Let's say they didn't believe in the Utah situation at random, for example. Maybe they believed that they would fit in Brooklyn because of the different pieces surrounding them in Brooklyn would make it so that they'd have different roles. And in that situation, maybe they would see a situation where they totally believe in one another. That could totally happen. These are the type of things that I'm trying to help everybody kind of work into their equation when assessing basketball and assessing the NBA particularly, and things I'm trying to work into my equation as I assess things, and as well as looking back on revisionist history and different opinions and trying to run it through that filter as well, which is really, really important. Because a lot of times we come to new understandings, but may not necessarily update those with our opinions that we've had in the past. So come off as hypocrites and things of that nature without identifying that, so on and so forth. To get back on track, I do believe that in this situation, the Utah Jazz probably just had enough time in that system to believe that they had seen all that this system could do. I firmly believe that Rudy Gobert is, at his price, a very difficult player to try to build around without certain pieces being in place at a discount because of what his deficiencies are. Scoring the ball in the paint, certain things that you're just going to need other players to do in order to have him at a championship level. It's kind of difficult to put those pieces in place when a lot of the other pieces that the Utah Jazz had didn't hold a whole lot of value. They didn't particularly draft very well. The system didn't make it so that players had a whole lot of one-on-one time and were able to really shine in what it is that they did, because it was basically Donovan Mitchell scoring, Rudy Gobert defending in the paint, and more or less them shooting a lot of three-point shots. It was a very specific thing that each of their pieces did. Well, the problem with that is not playing to those players' strength, you can't raise their value and thus can't trade them for pieces that will otherwise make you better. So the Utah Jazz were running to a little bit of that. So where even though they were good enough to make the playoffs because their stars were playing at a level that allowed for them to continue to succeed to a point, but once they got to that point, they didn't have anything that would allow them to get any further. A lot of, as I've described, a lot of players who did one-dimensional things in a system that was one-dimensional in style. Rudy Gobert not being able to stretch the floor or score in the paint, his offensive deficiencies, having the smallness of their point guard position and shooting guard position, position for that matter, both Conley, Clarkson, and Donovan Mitchell being under 6'6". I mean, these things directly contributed to the ceiling of the Utah Jazz. And when you're in it, I would imagine year in, year out, 82 games a year, it just becomes a situation where you just understand that you're not going to win. And while that's okay, if you know you have your picks and your team is going to get better, you can improve this and that. Maybe you have a big market, you can get players to you. When you don't have those dynamics in place, it just feels like you're running on a hamster wheel, I'd imagine. So I think Danny Ainge was accurate in separating uh, the two perspectives to say these guys got along. They didn't. It wasn't like there was bad chemistry or like guys just simply hated being around one another, coming to work every day. No, it was just that what they were doing, they just understood that it had run its course. So that's pretty much it, man. My name is BDF44. I gotta go get these groceries. Someone is knocking, and I gotta go get it. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.